everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my October wrap-up, which is going to be very short and, well, I was going to say very sweet, but I don't even know if it is going to be very sweet because I didn't really read that much. It's not a slump, but my focus is elsewhere. I have my very first ever violin solo recital but on November 20th, and it's taking up a lot of my focus. It's not like I'm playing this, fantastic thing, but the thing is, like, I've never done this before and I'm super nervous and I want to play well and I want to, do justice to the amount of practicing I've been doing, and I want to do justice to the music itself because it's really, really a beautiful piece. But yeah, it's only 6 minutes, but I'm so nervous. Yesterday I practiced in front of a friend and it was just like, So my focus is a little bit elsewhere, so I'm not reading. It's crazy to think, like, in August I was reading 60, 70 pages every day on an average, and right now I'm reading 0 to 15 pages a day, which really, really is not that much, but yeah, it is what it is. These things happen. So the first book I read this month was the Gossamer Years, which is the diary of a noblewoman of Heian, Japan. I'm going to read this one paragraph to really describe what this is. Because I read this a little while ago, but also just to really, really make it that you understand what it is. I'm reading. It is a nonfiction. So the Kagero Nikki, which is the Japanese title of the Gossamer Years, is in fact a combined autobiography diary covering 21 years in the life of a mid-Heian Fujiwara noblewoman known today as the mother of Michitsuna. It is the record of her unhappy marriage to her kinsman, Fujiwara Kanae, beginning in 954 with his first love letters and ending in 974 with their very nearly complete estrangement. In the intervening years, the author has occasion to record her indignation at successive revelations of rival wives and mistresses. Kanae had some 8 or 9 of whom a record remains. And the diary is, in a sense, her protest against the marriage system of the time and her exposition of the thesis that men are beasts. It's a fantastic diary. If you studied Japanese literature in college, or you studied the Japanese language in college, it's quite possible that you were required to read this. I was not, but it is a very, very common text to read if you're in that field of study. So I'm really, really happy to have finally read this, and it's really just fascinating to get this insight on this time period of Japan that I really have no knowledge of. 974 Japan is just, it's really hard to wrap your mind around that, of what that could have been, and this really, really just so wonderfully gives you that atmosphere. Now, obviously, or I shouldn't say obviously, but this diary is very much incomplete. And the author is very good. There are extensive notes at the back explaining what's going on, the choices that had to be made with the translation. And when I say the author, I mean the translator, Edward Seidensticker. I don't mean the actual writer of I don't mean the noblewoman, whom by the way we don't know her name. But yeah, the translator really gives you these really fantastic footnotes explaining why certain translations that he made, or certain decisions that he made, are most likely incorrect, why he might have interpreted a sentence this way over another, because the thing is that this diary is very much incomplete. A lot of times it's not often very clear who the noblewoman is actually referring to. A lot of times it's not clear what's going on, because she's not very concerned with giving like proper timetables. And because it's a semi-autobiography diary, there are moments that are very much diary-like, and she's writing at the time an event is happening, but because she also has this autobiography part of it as well, she's actually writing about herself, but herself in the past, a few years back. So she's reflecting on herself on a previous time period, but because she's reflecting on herself in the past, she makes mistakes with, like, say, the timetable. So you have to take all of that into consideration, but it really gives you this amazing insight into the lives of these women who basically had no function in society other than to birth a child. They were well taken care of in terms of, food and clothing and having a home of which they looked out on. But I mean, they had nothing to do. They wore layers and layers and layers of their kimonos. They were required to stay behind screens because no one other than their immediate family could actually look at them. And even immediate family is mostly husband, their own children up to a certain age, and then like their servants. But they always had to be behind these screens, which hid their bodies and faces. So they might be behind a screen like this, and the intrigue is that all you could see is like the sleeve of their kimono, and depending on the color of the kimono, how many layers of kimono they had, the fabric of the kimono, that could tell you the rank of the woman wearing the kimono behind her screen. But other than that, you had no information. And it's that part is actually, it leads to this really fantastic moment where our noblewoman, her son, is pursuing this other woman that he has a glimpse of her sleeve in her carriage, and he kind of falls for this woman. And we have all of these this letter exchange between the son and this other woman, and the woman is basically like, you think about it like text messages. The woman's basically saying, you're wasting your time, why are you bothering me, you're never going to succeed in courting me, like, TLDR, I don't even care about their poems, just stop sending them to me. So you get these wonderful little exchanges that are absolutely that are just interesting, but at the same time you really feel the hardship of this woman who is supposed to live this life, and for her, she was thinking, okay, my role is to please my husband and really to provide for my family, but he's never here, he's always with other women. So if he's always with other women, then what's my role, what's my job at this point? Like, I can't even satisfy that function. And so it just really, there's this melancholy throughout this diary that just is really heartbreaking, to be honest. And it's definitely a slower read at times. You for me, I did, I felt a little exasperated. It's through a modern view. It's why I just stop being, you want to say, stop being melancholy, stop, thinking about this person. But I mean, that's all they had to do all day. And, I've found myself thinking about someone I shouldn't be thinking, way past the time where I should have been thinking about them. So it's understandable, but at the same time, I think it's because you're getting 20 years of reflection within such a short diary that, you're getting all the sentiments at once, and you're like, calm down, chill out. But it's just fascinating. Definitely a slower read. I think it's a read, and even though it's so short, I don't think it's one of those reads you do in one sitting. I think it's best just to come in, read a little bit of it, read a few diary passages, come away from it, go back to it, just to really, really get the feel of the years, because you're getting 20 years in such a short amount of time. So just to feel the passing of the years. I think that's the best way to read this. So really, really fascinating. Maybe more of a book you'll be interested in if either you're interested in old times or you're interested in Japan. Maybe not for everyone to read, but I did enjoy this. I thought it was really interesting. The other and only other book that I read, or rather that I finished in the month of October, is The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. This is a very, very classic Gothic novel about I need to know the names, about our prince Manfred. His son Conrad was to marry Isabella, but on the day of their wedding, Conrad dies of sort of mysterious, under strange, mysterious circumstances. And then Manfred decides that now that his only heir, Conrad, has passed away, he needs another heir. So he's going to take Isabella for his own wife. And of course, Isabella is very much against this and tries to escape from him. And so you have sort of the push and pull behind all the characters in this book, along with very, very supernatural, superstitious elements in the background, as well as, I don't know what's wrong with my voice today. My throat just does not want to behave properly. But yeah, you get all these with this like gothic scenes, and at the same time there's this sort of prophecy in the fact that Manfred is probably not the real heir of this castle of Otranto, that he might have stolen his title. And so you get all this sort of adventure between all the characters. I really like this. I love gothic fiction. I love the atmosphere of gothic fiction. I love the drama of gothic fiction. I love this very exaggerated way in which, you know, everyday life is sort of portrayed, and everything is, oh no, and gasp, and oh, what could have been that creature in the night. I really love that exaggerated sense of drama. It's absolutely fantastic. But for me, this really is almost sort of just an adventure story, a home drama kind of story. For me, it didn't have the punch that, say, the Gothic, the Monk had, which has such really beautiful reflections on, or not beautiful, but harsh reflections, I should say, more correctly, harsh reflections on religion, Catholicism, priestdom, and things like that. And then also another Gothic that I had really liked was Melmoth the Wanderer, of whom the author I can't think of right now, but Melmoth the Wanderer also just had this beautiful, wonderful story of an immortal who is trying to capture the souls of other people so that he can be free from his own task. And it also has reflections on religion at the time. And really, really fantastic. This is just a simple adventure story. I loved it. It was really fun, but it doesn't carry the impact of maybe some other Gothic fiction that I've read has had on me. So love this, but it is just a simple tale. Then I did read one manga. I finally finished volume 6 of Orange, which is the very last volume of this series. Orange is just a really, really lovely tale about 6 friends. The 6th friend who has very suicidal thoughts, and so the 5 friends are doing everything they can to save him and make sure that he understands that he is loved and he is wanted in this world. And basically it's the story of the efforts these 5 friends go to really just create this world that all 6 can live in. And it's really a beautiful story about friendship and love for each other and communication and really listening to each other. And so yeah, this was the final volume, which was actually an addition to the original 5-volume series, because this shows the future basically of these 6 characters. So really, really love that. Really happy to have finished. So I mean, if you watched my video, which was the end of the year book tag for 2021, I did read 3 books that were in that tag that are part of my end of the year TBR. So in that sense, I'm still doing well. I didn't read that much this month, but in terms of, you know, my intentions for the end of the year, I am still following that plan. I am also still reading the biography of Mal, still absolutely loving this. I only have about, it looks like I'm only halfway through, but this amount is notes. So I'm actually only about 200 pages from the end of reading this, because the rest is just all notes, bibliographies, and index. So I am almost finished with this, but like I said, since I'm only reading 15 pages a night these days, I'm not exactly going through everything very quickly. But But I do plan to finish that in November because it would be silly for me not to. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I really hope you guys had a wonderful October, a wonderful Halloween, and I hope you guys read some wonderful books. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!